Hi, my name is Jesse Perlman with C Prime. We're going to be talking about Jira Align for government, lightning fast decision-making across complex government agencies. My name is Jesse Perlman. As I said, I'm a business agility coach at C Prime. I've been helping organizations to achieve true business agility by aiding them in helping apply visibility into processes, practices, market better understand their current state of predictability and responsiveness. Been an agilist since the 80s, and I learned servant leadership from the Marine Corps. Been around for a while, been doing this for a while, been working with Jira Align since 2017. So I'm very much aware of its potential value back into the government space. So today we're going to be talking about strategic planning and visibility, governance with lean portfolio management, and near real-time decisioning, which is key and critical in delivering value for the taxpayer dollar. So strategic planning and visibility inside of Jira Align, we're going to talk about what it is, and then we're going to show you how it's done. So really, the government has plans that extend from one administration into the next. Long-term plans, budgets that are still working their way through completion. Let's just think about Space Command. I'm going to pick the little topical thing that we can think about, right? This is a brand new command. How's it being stood up? It's meant to work in space, right? This is not going to happen in 1 year. So if we lack insight to the actual strategies in play, their contributing bodies of work, and the ability to coordinate timely and cohesive response to ensure the maximum value is delivered for the taxpayer dollar, it's severely impaired. If you don't see and be able to respond quickly, then you're losing money, you're losing value. Jira Align allows for those rich visualizations of those strategic plans, their progress and health, using a suite of powerful views and modules that we'll be getting into. So the first one that we're going to talk about is modeling complex organizations. In the administrative function of the Jira Align, you can model a complex organization, and government organizations are complex. I was playing around inside of Jira Align. I'm like, NASA exists as a very real organization. The Space Command is going to be something that is part Air Force and part NASA. So in here, I modeled how the Space Command is connected to NASA, but it's working on Earth orbital systems, it's working on guidance, it's working on human interfaces, and we see all the contractors. I'm going to pause here for a second. This is the real power of Jira Align back into the government ecosystem. Your contractors, Ball Corp, General Dynamics, Jacobs Engineering, all of them that work with you, they all have their own Jira environments, and you can plug them in directly into Jira Align without disrupting them, their behaviors. Now you just get their visibility in, and that's the real value here. And then you can start to run these reports off the organization to see where is the Space Command contributing or costing as it compares to the NASA efforts that are underway. So modeling the complex organization then allows you to understand those strategies that they may be pursuing and how to get progress against those strategies. At the highest level inside of Jira Align, there's the strategic room, which radiates that rich information against those strategies. It outlines a clear mission, vision, and set of values that the portfolios are intended to work towards, that the enterprise is seeking to accomplish. We can see execution against those outcomes. We can see how the pyramid has been designed to say mission, vision, values. Here's the North Star, the strategies, the goals, and what are we doing this year? Connected back to the work and their progress. We also see the value that they're delivering from their objectives and key results. If we have a strategy, there's a concept of the value it is intended to deliver, and we must measure that value at every level so that we know we're spending the money in the right place, or we need to pivot and spend it in a different place. We can dive into those OKRs to get a deeper understanding of where that value is actually being delivered and not being delivered, where we can stop at the smallest sense, that feature level, that's not going to be valuable, stop delivering that, let's pivot and start working on a different set of orbital behaviors that we might want from our modules in space. Strategic planning then allows us to say, if we have a strategy for a period of time, Space Command orbital expansion to 2025, then we must work against that with a series of long-term strategies. The strategic backlog allows you to create a robust series of decomposed strategies and allows you to prioritize and then track against this work. So as my strategies are broken down, I can create those investment themes of identifying those portfolios or subordinate organizations of the government that will be contributing to the effort of these themes. Where is that money going to be coming from? How are we going to fund this? And then we can see The epics, those portfolio epics, the large body of the work, half a year to 2 years of value delivery with clearly defined minimal viable products that's supposed to, impact the value of strategy being delivered. So now we see at the high level, we can start tracking this inside of Jira Align and understand where the money is going, how it's being spent. But this brings us to governance with lean portfolio management. We have the strategies, we have the big buckets of money. How are we making sure that the money is being spent appropriately? Are we bringing in the right things? This really starts with gaining clear visibility into strategic themes and their timeframes. What are we trying to do over how long? Aligning those portfolios to those outcomes. Hey, Space Command, we're going to be launching an orbital station. How are we going to do that? Who else do we need to support us? JPL, NASA, Air Force, whoever. Portfolios create and fund epics to complete those strategic themes. So Space Command has its own body of monies that it's trying to work with to ensure that Earth orbital systems are being set up appropriately. Portfolios sync to make sure pivot and persevere decisions can be made. We're spending money, we're delivering value, we are measuring that value. Is it worth it? And do we persist? So inside Jira Align, once again, you get this strategic roadmap that allows you to set the timeframes of those strategic themes and the portfolio epics. It's also used to keep that work aligned to those strategies over the course of time. If you don't have this rich visualization, work drifts off. And the moment you drift off from where the strategies are intended to go, that's money that should not be spent. The roadmap also allows portfolios to understand where they can apply other epics of value so they can see where a gap exists in trying to deliver this orbital station. Then we talk about allocating the themes. So the portfolios are very aware of the themes, and those themes have to be allocated in such a way as that they can fund their portfolio epics. And here you can start to say, these are the themes that will be moving through the human interfaces strategic themes. And we can see what we're trying to work on and where the budgets are being put out and where the effort distribution lays. This sets the plan by so the portfolios understand 10% goes to human interface, 20% goes to operationalizing AI, et cetera. Then the portfolio Kanban visualizes the life cycle that the work must move through. And this is where governance and compliance plays a key role inside of Jira Align. This is where real rich visibility to the work that's being brought in, bodies of work, big portfolio epics, and do they meet strategy? Do they meet government regulation? Do they meet the compliance, safety compliances? All of that, do they meet the data compliance for rich visualization in the system, moves through this life cycle. Every organization has its own life cycle. Jira Align can allow those portfolios to reflect their life cycles, how they move their work through, and get it funded and approved and determine that which is really valuable or not. And then they can refine it using the process flow cycle time. This is the true beauty of lean. Lean is the minimum amount of investment to get the maximum output. So Jira Align starts to illuminate where things are taking longer in your process than they should. And you can bring to bear the appropriate choices and decisions to make that throughput even smoother, thus gaining greater predictability over a longer term horizon. That's the key value. Predictability from the teams, your contractors rolling in, and the ability to plan longer and longer term horizons to say, I know we can launch that thing into space on this date with great confidence. So near real-time decisioning is saying, great, wonderful, Jesse, you've put all those plans in place, but how do I know it's really working? Well, inside of Jira Align, we give you these visualizations. And the first one is we steer the themes. At the highest level, if we're going to invest money into these large strategic outcomes, we want to make sure that that money is being spent and appropriately according to the plan. And we can see here that we have the plan as it's been set, and we can see where it starts to alter. Operationalize AI becomes a bigger thing in the estimate as the portfolios are actually starting to decompose the strategies into those epics, and those epics down, we start to see more and more goes into operationalize AI. At some point, at the strategy level, there's a conversation to say, is this appropriate? Yes, we need more AI to be able to do all the other things. Great. And then as the actuals, and these are agile actuals, which means roughly right within thousands of dollars, are rolling back in. Is this what we thought we would be spending? Does it match that estimate that we agreed to, which is a variant from the plan? This is high-level steering. This is the ability to know the moment that the money is starting to go in the wrong direction, to have the conversations to understand, is that the right direction? Or hold your horses, come back, put it where it's supposed to be. The longer term solution roadmap allows you to look at a yearly horizon, pick the epics by strategic theme, look at them as a calendar view, month by quarter, and then start to understand the strategic themes, their portfolio epics, their progress. So this becomes a report page. It's not just a planning, it's a synchronization, a steering page as well. So we can see the progress, we can see its health. Is it going well or not? So now we're having the rich conversations. The portfolios are saying, maybe we've got contractors rolling off for the security work that are going to delay it. Can we pivot? Or is there another thing we should do? And the strategies, the strategic mindset can now be informed and altered based on what's actually coming from the portfolios. And the portfolios understand their progress from the portfolio room inside of Jira Align. It gives you 3 axes of information. Execution, first and foremost. How are we progressing against those portfolio epics that align back to strategy? Then we look at, do we continue to have the resources available within our various trains and value streams to continue to do the work in the future if we're continuing to progress? And then lastly, is it costing us what we thought it would cost us, or is it costing us more? Work may be going well, we may have the resources, but if we don't have the money, we're going to have to pivot and find a different priority to focus on that we can afford. So the portfolio gives this rich radiating information that allows you to sense and respond in near real time. We must remember that you're plugged into the Jira at the bottom level. The teams are there daily doing their work. That information is coming in within minutes into Jira Align and radiating upward. You're not collecting PowerPoints, you're not collecting spreadsheets, and you're not responding a week to 2 weeks later than the moment of decision called for. The other thing that we focus on here is dependency management. And I'm going to take a moment to lean in here a little bit more than I have in the previous spaces, because this is where things get really complex in government organizations. The Department of Homeland Security doesn't just work alone. The Department of Defense doesn't just work alone. The National Security Agency, and on we go. They are all dependent upon each other in one way, shape, or form. And you have your contractors who work in a way as to only work on the piece that's put in front of them. And there is a sequence by which that work has to be delivered to provide the larger value that the government is looking for. And how do you understand the impact to your organization of all these complex relationships of, I need so-and-so to do this before I can do that, and then they can do this? Dependency management inside of Jira Align is unlike other software because it's a real object that allows a representation of the conversations that should be taking place. We want to put a new space station into orbit. We're going to need NASA, we're going to need the Space Command, we're going to need the Air Force, we're going to need, and at the highest level of strategy, you start to identify those dependencies. Excuse me, and at each level, we work down and identifying, have a conversation. So as dependencies are created, they're radiating why there is a risk to delivery between this organization and that they have to do whatever they need to do. And if this organization is dependent upon other organizations, now you have this weird kind of threaded environment that says A to B requires 1 to X, Y, and F. And that's complex. So these dependencies allow us to say at what level, the feature level, the portfolio epic, even the capability if you're working with the solution layer, show only those that are associated to the point in time or to this program. Show me those that are inactive. Show me the team, the program, or external. This is the big one, external. We'll talk about that more in just a minute, but we start to see now within a given period of time, within a given period organization, all of the dependencies and where they're at, green, good, red, bad, blue, in motion. And this starts to tell us where we can understand and reduce risk to delivery. And then in a deeper sense, really start to dig in, because this is, again, the real value, near real-time decisioning. And then I can review data to improve performance. to get better, to lean the system. And here's where a big piece of this comes in. If your contractors are dependent upon each other, if your organization is dependent upon another organization, you get a grid that will show you where those dependencies are happening and at what level. So that you can start to say, we have clusters of behaviors between the L3Harris Technologies and the California Institute of Technology. Maybe they should form a tiger team where they are working together and we don't have this dependency. Is that possible? No. Then we have to understand there will always be this dependency. Should we sequence work so that it always goes to the California Institute of Technology first, and then to L3Harris Technologies? So that we're not creating a dependency, we're actually doing the work sequentially. And that's the greater value, is to understand how your plans are impacting other organizations and get into a sequential state where it's smooth and flowing and everything now becomes easier. We can represent any level of dependency inside of Jira Align, Agile team to Agile team to program team to Agile team, you name it. But we come back to the externals. This is the very important one. Sometimes you have contractors and providers and vendors who are not plugged in and they're not doing software delivery, but they're delivering hardware delivery. Critical things have to arrive. How can you account for them? Inside of Jira Align, we give you the external entities. You can create every external entity. It has an owner who then becomes the person who manages the relationship. Hello, Bob's shop. Have you got the socks? Send the socks. We need them. Where are they at? And now we see that we can represent not only those who are holistic into the Jira Align system and the ecosystem that it creates with the various contractors who have their own Jira instances, but you start to represent by proxy those external vendors that aren't represented in the system in a very healthy way to show their impact to successful delivery within the organization. So at this point, I think I've touched on everything I can in the period of time that I have. So I want you to remember some key takeaways. First and foremost, strategic planning and tracking are handled natively in Jira Align. Everything that you're trying to do, spreadsheets, PowerPoints, Word documents, et cetera, Visios, can all happen inside of Jira Align. You can model your organization, you can reflect your strategies, you can model your portfolios and their intake and approval processes, and you can even model all the way down to the contractors who are providing the end value delivery of code to you. Jira Align ensures governance and visibility into funding and approvals at the portfolio level. If you're doing participatory funding, many hands filling a big bucket of money, then Jira Align starts to identify where those hands are at, where in time they need to gather to have the conversation about filling the bucket with their money. If I have strategies and I have money, that money's got to come together to fulfill the strategies, no matter who holds that money. And if those people are all involved, let's identify them, bring them together, get the money, and get the work going. Jira Align provides the near real-time decision-making data available to ensure that the right things are always being delivered at the right time. Delivery is coming from the lowest level of teams, your Jira plugged into Jira Align. That is being coordinated against the program or train level from a safe perspective for their predictable delivery over the near-term horizon, 3 months to 9 months. And then that goes up in predictability, what we're capable of actually delivering quarter over quarter, goes up to either the solution or the portfolio. But what's happening is within 5 to 15 minutes, or however you set your integrations timer, whatever changes in Jira is automatically coming into Jira Align, and you note the moment a team can't deliver against a story in a sprint that can impact a feature in a program increment, that can impact a capability in a solution, that can impact a portfolio epic in a strategic theme, that can impact a strategy on today. I like to keep the conversation going. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You can check out C-Prime upcoming webinars, read our blogs, download white papers and case studies, cprime.com/resources. You can share with us what topics you're interested in, ask us questions, and give us feedback at learn@cprime.com. And follow us on social media. Really enjoyed my time with you today. I'm looking forward to talking to you again in the future. There's so much more that Jira Align can provide. I've just skimmed the surface. You have a great day.